Hey there, this is Tim from LoveOpenly. I wanted to make this video because I just found out about this condition called POIS, post-orgasmic, what is it? Post-orgasmic illness syndrome. And when I came across it, I was astounded because all of these symptoms that I'm seeing are pretty much in line with what I've been living with for, gosh, a long time, maybe 10 years. So I wanted to make a video. I couldn't really find many videos about this syndrome, this illness, on YouTube. There's only really about 4 or 5, and nobody seems to know what's going on. So I just wanted to add my story to the pool of information that's out there, and I think my background on it is perhaps a little bit different to other people. So what is post-orgasmic, I can't remember, illness syndrome? It's when you have an orgasm and you have these horrible effects that come about afterwards. So, there's various symptoms. It can be like fatigue, it can be like anxiety, depression, it can be anger, irritation, all sorts of different things. You can have shakes in your body, physical shakes, muscle pain, joint pain, all like lots of stuff. And I've had a lot of these myself. I actually have a sore throat right now, which I think is related to it. So let me just tell you a bit about my background. I'm actually on day 200. It's a strange coincidence that I came across this now, but I'm on day 200 without an orgasm. So my last orgasm was 200 days ago, and that kind of happened by accident. I've been practicing. Lengthening out the gaps between my orgasms for about 10 years. So I first came across, I don't really know much about nofap, I'll say that now. Like, I've read a bit about it online, but I've been practicing semen retention for a long time. So there's this book here, I don't know if you can see that I first bought maybe about 10 years ago, and it first put this idea into my head that if you wanted to live longer, then you, as a man, it's good if you can retain your semen, because it has like energy that, it's kind of like, it says it's your life essence, and if you just willy-nilly just expel it, that it can shorten your life and cause all sorts of problems and all sorts of effects. So I started experimenting in my different relationships and started like trying to come up with this idea. Well, what would happen if I tried not to orgasm so much? And at the time, I started a progress log. I actually monitored my sex, my activity for about 3 years. Every day, I would write down whether I watched porn or whether I had an orgasm, like whether I had sex, all sorts of different things, and at the same time, I was practicing this retention. So they talk about this kind of lock, physical lock that you can do. So you take your fingers and you put it on your kind of underneath your scrotum, where your gonads are. And I experimented with that, and it took me probably about the first 3 years before I started to get any sense of being able to control my orgasm. And from these progress logs, I found something really interesting, and that was, the more orgasms that I had, the more I seemed to get ill. And then I would get angry when I was ill. And this was really fascinating to me. What was this correlation with having orgasms and being ill about? Like, I just found it really interesting. And I'm not a person that gets angry like ever unless I'm ill. And so I was just like, well, I don't want to be angry. I want to be a nice person, so I'm gonna stick with this. I'm gonna try and master it. So I've been practicing this over 10 years now, and it's got to the point where I can quite happily have sex for a long time without having to have an orgasm, and I've made it part of my life pretty much. But the thing is that it's had some kind of side effects, and that is that over time, maybe it's just my age, I'm 36 now, but over time it started to be that when I had an orgasm, I would start to have these kind of debilitating side effects. My recovery time would get longer and longer and longer. And where I'm at right now is, if I have an orgasm, I'm usually okay on the first day, on the day it happens. I feel terrible, don't get me wrong, like I have this orgasm and I feel terrible. But I kind of okay, I start to lose kind of mental function. I start to struggle a bit. I can't do much. I get tired, I get sleepy. But I'm not too bad, I can manage. But then the day after I've had my orgasm, the next day, I am just a wreck. Like, I cannot do anything. I can't think straight. I can't talk to anybody. I do not want to talk to anybody on that second day, because I can't communicate. I can't think straight. I just feel terrified in a way. I just have this massive anxiety about everything. I feel really stressed. I have like pressure in my head. It just feels terrible. All I want to do is hide. I want to run away, and it's just like the worst feeling in the world. And then when it goes to the third day, it's slightly better, and then the fourth day, slightly better again. It takes me about a week for me to fully get back to normal. And, you know, I didn't know about any of this stuff. I didn't know about, like, nofap. I didn't know about POIS. All I knew was that I would be practicing what was in this book. And I actually thought, I was convinced that maybe, like, all men have this problem with orgasm, and they don't even realize it, and they're just kind of pretending, because, you know, we all have to be masculine and, like, hide our feelings and all this stuff. And I was just kind of convinced that most men were just like suffering from this in some small way, and I was just normal. But today, like, you know, I came across this POIS, and all of my symptoms are the same as what other people are saying, and I was shocked and surprised. And I don't really know, now I realise that, you know, that there might be something that I could do about this issue, because for me it was just become a part of my life. I just kind of accepted it. I was like, okay, well, you know, if I have an orgasm, I can't do anything. And in a way, like, my whole life is kind of shaped around that, because, you know, I don't have a normal job. I work for myself, and, you know, I don't, you know, I just generally have a lot of fatigue around all this kind of stuff, and it got to the point now where I'm on like 200 days without orgasm, and I never planned that. It just happened by accident, you know. Over the period of the 10 years, I'd been increasing the time, but I never really made it past like maybe a month until this year. And then this year I made it past a month, 1 month without orgasm, and, you know, this whole time I would still occasionally look at porn, I would have sex. Sometimes I would have orgasms through sex, sometimes not, and yeah. So and then I hit 200 days ago, and I just accidentally just kept going, and there was no opportunity. You know, I've been on my own here, so I haven't been, for various reasons, I've not been pursuing or having sex with any particular women, and, you know, I know that having an orgasm makes me feel terrible, so I'm not gonna pursue that. And it's hard to describe the kind of fear that you have, like, oh God, I don't want to have an orgasm. But now I'm seeing that I have all these symptoms that other people are having, and it seems I've been looking, like, I was up all night, like in the middle of the night, reading about it, because I was just like, what is going on here? Do I have some kind of illness or something? And it seems like people are pointing to an autoimmune response, and I don't know yet, but, you know, I want to make this video, and then I'm gonna have to explore. I've joined up to these two forums. So there's one, I think it's POIScenter.com, and then there's also a Facebook group that I found inside that place as well, and people are talking about it, and they're exploring all of these different side effects and things that they're trying and all this kind of stuff, and people are saying various things. They're saying that it's similar to, like, I think like MS or you know, some kind of muscular fatigue thing, and this is the thing that's interesting to me. A lot of them are saying like it's a problem with the gut, but you know, maybe that's true because for me, I don't eat wheat anymore. I don't even eat rice. I just at the moment I eat all I eat is like frozen vegetables right now, like yogurt, fruit, oats. That's it. Like I don't really. You know, my diet is really good, but I still have these problems, so that's kind of confusing me a bit, because everyone's saying, oh, well, you have to cure it by fixing your diet, but that doesn't seem to be the case with me. Like, I'm super healthy with my diet, you know, I go to the gym at the moment, like, maybe every 2 or 3 days, and you know, all throughout my 20s, I spent my 20s doing Tai Chi, like, a lot, like on a daily basis. I was doing kind of Tai Chi, breathing, deep breathing, all of this stuff that everybody says you're supposed to do. I was doing it. So I'm kind of confused about that at the moment. But yeah, I mean, I'm making this video just to tell you my story and where I'm at with it. And if I found out anything new, I'm going to have to, I mean, now that I know that this is something that other people experience and they have a problem with, and there might possibly a way to get over it, then that's definitely something I want to explore, because my life would drastically improve if I didn't have this situation, you know. Like I honestly, I just accepted it. I just thought it was just all guys had this and it was normal, and I'm just really surprised. So now, like, my focus is on, like, well, what can I do, you know? So yeah, stay tuned, and I'll hopefully give an update in the future if I make any progress on this, and I'll let you guys know. Thanks.